Good afternoon, everyone. It is on. Well, I'm Christian Burris, and along with my fellow co-chair of the Library Lecture Series, Joy Gamble, I would like to welcome each and every one of you today to our latest Library Lecture Series event, the History of WFDD. And it's being presented today by Molly Davis and Sara Chisesi Cladding. So thank you both for coming today and sharing the history of WFDD with us. So I'd like to just introduce both of our illustrious hosts today. And I'm using text that's been prepared by Molly Keener, who was unfortunately unable to be with us today because she's suffering from a broken ankle. So please send her your best wishes and thoughts, and she would love to have been with us, but unfortunately life circumstances intervened. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Molly Davis. Molly joined WFDD in January 2005. She is a graduate of Davidson College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English. Molly spent 20 plus years of experience in marketing, public and media relations, event planning, and nonprofit management. In the late 90s, she served as the marketing director for Winston-Salem Events. The nonprofit outdoor music series was a forerunner in the downtown redevelopment efforts and made enormous strides in bringing the public back to downtown Winston-Salem to live and play. One of her proudest moments recently is the relaunch of Across the Blue Ridge with Paul Brown, now in distribution to other public radio stations across the country. Molly's public radio crush is Ari Shapiro, and admit it, you know you have a public radio crush as well. Mine is probably Michelle Norris of All Things Considered. One of her memorable driveway moments was listening to Radiolab, Ronnie versus Death, about a Milwaukee doctor who tried an unusual method of treatment for a young patient doomed to die from rabies. And now Sara Chisesi Cladding. Sara joined the staff of WFDD in the fall of 2013. She came to the Triad from Chicago, where she worked for the Frank Lloyd Wright Preservation Trust and the Seminary Co-op bookstore on the University of Chicago campus. She received her BA in philosophy and French language and literature from the University of Chicago. As a student, she focused on the philosophy of literature and the philosophy of language, asking questions like, why have people always told stories? And what can we learn from a story that we cannot learn in any other way? She's found that working in public radio is a perfect continuation of these interests. Sara's public radio dream dinner guests will be Brendan and Rico from the Dinner Party Download. They seem like seriously entertaining dinner companions. But unfortunately, this hasn't happened yet. However, Sara knows that they did call in with a special message for WFDD's Dinner Party Download listening party not too long ago, and she's hopeful to join WFDD for dinner in the next year or two. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sara and Molly to the Library Lecture Series. Well, Sara for just a moment, but Molly will be back.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Molly just had to take a call. Her daughter went home sick today, so I think she just got a call about that. But our presentation is actually in the form of a trivia game.
Tell them I have a sick child.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. It's a sick child and a husband who's like, where's the carpet cleaner? That's what I was doing in the hall. Like, look under the kitchen sink. It's called for some help. It's in a red canister. Really, I swear.
Do you want to explain the game?
It's a trivia game, and you might know some of the answers, and you might not. So we're really excited. We have a lot of fun putting this together. We've got some archival photos and some archival sound in this too. So it's a lot of fun. We really did have a lot of fun putting it together. So we're going to run through, and we have prizes if you get the questions right. So we will toss bottle openers at you. If you guys, and we'll not hit you in the head, if at all possible. So, Sarah may have already said it while I was in the hall, but we're so grateful for you having us here, and thank you. We're thrilled. We love, love, love to talk about WFDD and our storied history, so we're delighted to be here. And without further ado, are we ready to start? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Question 1. What year was 88.5 WFDD founded? Just shout it. We already told Buck he can't answer every question.
Buck gets to answer 2 questions.
You have a 1 in 4 chance. 1946 is correct. So after World War II, new students and ideas filled college campuses across the United States, and these students and ideas, coupled with rapidly advancing technologies and surplus electronic equipment from the war, ushered in a new area of radio broadcasting. So something you may not know, WFDD was an illegal radio station when it first started. 5 watts and broadcast to about 300 feet. So we've grown a lot now. All right. Next question.
Which Wake Forest college students founded 88.5 WFDD?
Any guesses? I heard somebody. Al Paris and Randy Randall, 2 Wake Forest college students, built a radio transmitter in their boarding house room, and they began to broadcast. All right. What were the original call letters for WFDD?
WAKE.
WAKE is correct.
Bringing the president of the student body, Dagwood Carnegie. And greetings to the radio audience of station WAKE. Tonight we celebrate the greatest event to occur on the Wake Forest campus since the first issue of the Old Gold and Black was handed out to enthusiastic students. And that is the opening of the radio station WAKE, which...
So that one goes on for a while. and he talks at length about all the great things WFDD is going to do. And we certainly think that happened. So, moving on.
So there was a bit of a problem, and the FCC required something in 1948. So what did the FCC require the station to do in 1948?
This lady, she's...
Oh, sorry. It's changed the name.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
And because it was the same name as a radio station in Atlanta, which is known as Wake Atlanta. So
That's correct. All right.
sorry, I'm not answering anymore.
Bonus question. You'd be surprised how many people don't know this. What does WFDD stand for? Wake Forest Demon Deacon. So everybody gets swag. All right. From 1948 to 1956, the station aired a program entitled The Deacon Light Serenade. What was broadcast during this program?
Music ideal for campus romance.
Music ideal for campus romance. This is why we joke that Al Paris and Randy Randall founded the station so they could meet girls.
What happened to the station in 1956? Since you all work at Wake, this one.
Moved to Winston.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that one's kind of a given. In 1956, the radio station moved with the college to its new home in Winston-Salem.
And then in 1957 covered a significant controversy on the new campus.
The student legislature reopened a controversy which fired student demonstrations in 1957, unanimously affirmed last week a proposal requesting the college trustees favorably endorse supervised dancing on the campus. The proposal was spearheaded by Harry Gamble, president of the sophomore class, in Thursday's legislature meeting. It will be presented to the trustees in a letter this week. The resolution reads, we, the student legislature of Wake Forest College, convinced that the college must keep pace with the social demands of our time, do hereby respectfully recommend that the Board of Trustees, possessing the ultimate judgment in the management of affairs of the college, favorably endorse supervised dancing on the campus.
Wait, can we pause? How do you guys have these old recordings? Do you keep them at the station?
Mhm.
Wow.
Are they amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That makes it so much more real.
Yeah. I love to hear the old broadcast style. And in 1967, how often did the station begin to broadcast?
Every day during the semester? No, every day.
No.
365 days a year in 1967.
What significant? Oh, sorry. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, I just said there were 2 women in the picture. It's better than none.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What significant event did the station?
What significant?
Oh gosh, I read that wrong. What significant event in station history occurred on April 1971?
Julia came as station manager. I sit next to his wife.
First NPR broadcast.
So Julian did come. Was it a different year?
Well, he came earlier than 1971. Yeah, he came in, I believe, 57. He returned as the non-student station
He was
manager.
a student manager.
He was. And he was the first non-student station manager, but it was earlier that he came. So Buck is right. In April 1971, WFDD carried the first broadcast from National Public Radio. Here's your bonus question. What was that broadcast?
Morning edition.
All things
All
considered.
things considered has got to be on this.
Is it on right now?
9:30. The first National Public Radio broadcast was Senate hearings on the Vietnam War.
You've been listening to a musical interlude on WFDD FM, the radio voice of Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a member of the National Public Radio Network. At this time, WFDD FM will broadcast the first live programming from the National Public Radio Network. Join us for live coverage of the United States Senate hearings on the war in Vietnam. Witnesses will include Senators Mondale, Saxby, Javits, and Stevenson. The time is 10 o'clock.
And a month later, on May 3rd, that's when the very first All Things Considered broadcast aired and was carried by WFDD. Okay, does anybody remember or have you heard the original All Things Considered theme song? I see Lyle nodding his head. It's kind of awesome.
I wasn't listening then, but they played it. They have played it.
Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
You ready? It just feels like 1971, doesn't it? I swear, we don't play that for anybody and not have them laugh.
Right. Then what significant event happened to WFDD in 1989? Yep. On May 5th, 1989, a powerful storm swept through the southeast, causing record damage, and it totally took out the WFDD tower.
So it was located on Miller Street. Here's one picture. We've got another picture of the downed tower. It's pretty significant damage.
And we actually have a piece of the tower in the lobby, so if anyone's interested, we have a framed piece of the shattered tower if you want to come see it.
In what year did WFDD move into the Weatherly House, the station's current location on the Wake Forest campus? Does Chris know? 1991. Moved into the renovated Weatherly House with help from a listener-supported tower and studio fund. The addition put on the side of the building actually won an architectural award that year. Yeah, shocking, right?
Where is WFDD's current broadcast tower located? We do have a satellite and a little tower, backup tower at the station, but...
You're giving me the answer. Anybody know? Take a guess? You now have a 1 in 3 chance of getting it right, because you know which one it's not.
Davidson.
Davidson County, near welcome. Current broadcast tower is located near welcome. The tower is 1,050 feet tall. It broadcasts at 60,000 effective radiated power, which is a standardized theoretical measurement of radio. And this is a cool picture I took looking straight up the tower. And this one, I wish that I had, somebody's foot or something next to it so you can see the size for comparison. The base of the tower is unbelievably small. That disc it's probably about that big. So that 1,000+ foot tower is on this tiny little base, but it is sunk about 30 feet into the ground with the massive guy wires that stabilize it. This is a view from the top of the tower. This is actually a light, a burned out light. This was the tower climber was up there replacing the light. And you can see, I don't know if you can see way in the background, the city. It's right here. So just imagine, that's the view from the top of the tower. Why these tower guys won't climb in high wind or any kind of bad weather. So anytime we need to do tower repairs, they'll set a date, but they have to watch the weather. And if there's any chance of wind or bad weather, they cancel and postpone. So it's difficult to get maintenance done on the tower for that purpose. And there are very few guys that do this. I'll tell you, I would not want to climb it. And we just got a couple of pictures of the antenna. They're real good when they go up there about taking pictures for us. It gives you an idea of how high it is. Sorry, apparently I'm getting emails. All right, next question.
What addition did WFDD make in August of 2015? So just this past August.
That's right, a 10-watt ERP translator in Boone to fill in the gaps where 88.5 WFDD doesn't come in is clear due to mountain topography. So high country listeners can now hear us on 88.5 or 100.1. And we love this picture. This is our chief engineer, George, working on the tower. And another picture of the Boone Tower. The Boone Tower is not actually very tall. It's only about 80 feet tall, but it's on top of a mountain. So we get a much bigger reach, really, than we even anticipated out of that translator.
Where is it in Boone?
We are not, you know what, George could tell you because he's been up there, and we've been up to Boone recently, but haven't been to the tower. I think railroad grade road maybe goes up the mountain. So I think that's right.
How many counties does 88.5 WFDD reach? And it actually didn't change with the Boone translator.
Right.
That just filled in the gaps. Take this off.
8.
32 counties. We broadcast to more than 100,000 listeners each week in 32 counties. We cover from Boone to Burlington. We go to Martinsville, Virginia in the north and almost to Union County in the south. We are the only public radio station of our kind located in the Piedmont Triad. We're the charter NPR member station. In fact, we were the first We were not just North Carolina's first NPR affiliate station, we were the first NPR affiliate station between Tallahassee and Richmond. So this year, this says next year, I need to change that because it was next year when I first made the presentation. But this year, we turned 70 this fall. And that's actually the end of our presentation, so it was pretty short, but we can take questions, and we've got swag, and we've got a really great fundraising campaign going on this February that maybe Sarah wants to tell you a little bit about.
Yeah, I think my mic is on. So one thing that wasn't in our presentation, but part of the history of WFDD is that when we became a public station, we also became publicly funded. So we are listener supported, which means that 80% of our funding comes from people in this community. As such, we are fundraising right now. We're always fundraising. So we have a very special, you can see them over there, handcrafted love mug. They're made by a local artist, and we only have 30 of them. So they're really limited edition. And we have those for a monthly gift of $15 a month. If anyone would like to increase the gift or make a gift, you could take a love mug home with you today.
And it's very easy to do on our website, which we can do right here on this slide. We'll always make it easy to take your pledge of support. So we can take any questions you have.
I wanted to ask about your student participation. When do you have the announcements on, and how does that work? How does it work in
So we are only live hosted Monday through Friday in drive times. So 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. is when we have a live host on the air. So you'll hear
5 a.m.?
5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Are there students?
They're not. Those are professional on-air hosts. We do have wonderful student interns working with us right now. Buck is our news intern. We have another Wake Forest student, Erin Patterson, who's our marketing intern. And then we have a terrific work study student who is working with us. And then we have another intern working with David, and I don't recall if he's a Wake student or not.
Yes.
Do you want to?
He's a senior.
He's a senior. Okay. Thank you.
Talk a little bit about how Wake Radio came up with WFDD became public.
Yes, so the other way we're working with students right now is we're actually working closely with Wake Radio, which is the student station here on campus. We've, and Buck, do you want to talk a little bit about what we've done with Wake Radio? Because you were really involved with the inception. Why don't you come up here?
Sure, yeah.
Hi, I'm Buck Hidman. I am the staff manager for Wake Radio, which, as you guys know, is the student campus radio station, mainly doing music and individual shows occasionally. Recently, the manager of WFDD, Tom Dollenmeyer, started coordinating with Wake Radio to move us from a completely internet-based radio station to a part of WFDD's HD3 station. So effective March 14th, I believe, is the switch-on date. You'll be able to listen to Wake Radio on WFDD's HD3 station. So that means that we will be moving from an audience of maybe the max 10 listeners at a time to, all of WFDD's HD3 listeners, and we'll also be on Apple Music. And it's an amazing opportunity for Wake Radio, and we are so grateful to have WFDD offer that opportunity to us. It's going to be big.
We assisted you with upgrading your boards and your automation software and everything.
Yep, we are running currently on NextGen, which is the standard industry radio operating equipment that WFDD in fact uses, and now Wake Radio, with the help of WFDD, has installed all of those. So students are getting a much more professional experience when they go into Wake Radio and are learning a lot more than they would have with the original manual motherboard. It's great.
What's HD3?
Oh.
I can tell you that, and I will. I just want to take 1 second to sing Buck's praises. Because the transfer of Wake Radio from an internet-only station to being on our broadcast waves means a big change for the students who have to now follow FCC guidelines, which they didn't have to do before. And Buck took it upon himself to study up on underwriting guidelines and language guidelines, and went and gave a presentation to the announcers at Wake Radio. And then said, I just knew you guys were busy and I could learn how to do this, and so thank you. I didn't have a chance to thank you yet, and I'm so grateful. HD this is one of those acronyms that used to stand for something and it's like AARP now and just doesn't stand for anything. So it used to stand for hybrid digital, and now it's just HD. That means that WFDD actually has 3 channels, which you can pick up with an HD radio, or you can stream them via our website. So our main channel, our analog signal, is our main news and discussion channel. You are required by the FCC, if you are broadcasting in HD, to have one channel that is a clone of your analog. So our HD1 is a clone of the analog. HD2 is all classical music, and HD3 has been eclectic or AAA programming from Exponential Radio, which is now going to be Wake Radio. So if you don't have an HD radio, you can still listen to it. You just stream it via our website. Lyle, did you have a...
It's considered high definition?
No, it is not.
No longer?
No, not ever.
Because that's the way it was marketed in DC at WAMU.
Then they marketed it incorrectly. Because it's not the same technology as HD television at all. It's not. But there was a lot of confusion with HD, with radio, people, because it was coming out around the same time as HD television. People thought it meant high definition, but it stood for hybrid digital.
If you happen to be playing a monologue, a stereo or analog radio in your house at the same time you're playing your high definition radio, you get a very annoying echo.
Yeah, there's a delay, but technically what should happen is your analog signal as it's broadcast should be broadcast on a delay so that you don't have that switch. Because if you're driving in your car and you have an HD radio in your car, you may go in and out of analog versus digital or HD broadcasting. If you don't delay your analog signal, then you'll get a repeat and a skip. So you should delay your analog signal, and that way, if you do that accurately, it's seamless, and you'll never know as the listener that there's been a switch. What other questions? Did I answer your student question?
Well, it's interesting. I'm with the radio station. I have a show called Poets and Writers out of Virginia. And I worked with Emory and Henry College and then Virginia Tech. And so so with your day-to-day programming, are all of those paid announcers or paid hosts or so on?
So, yeah, again, the 2 hosts that we have, our Morning Edition host and our All Things Considered host, are paid professionals. Our All Things Considered host is a part-timer. Our Morning Edition host is a full-timer. And then everything else, it's run by computer. Now, you'll hear us on the weekend, we sound live hosted, or that's the aim, is for us to sound live hosted. But all of those are voice tracked in advance. So if you happen to tune in to me on Sunday afternoon and I give you the time, I'm not really there.
Do you have to do a certain number of community-based programs to meet guidelines or anything?
No.
Well, I think part of the question goes back to the history of the station. So we did start as a student-run station, but when we talked about Dr. Burroughs, Julian Burroughs being the first non-student manager, we changed from being student-run to being professionally run, and now we are just a community public radio station. Wake Forest University owns our broadcast license, so that's why you hear a broadcast service of Wake Forest University. We are all Wake employees, and we're definitely part of campus with student interns, but we aren't a student-run station any longer.
And your communications programs, what I'm familiar with is it's used by the communications, the 2 campuses I'm talking about, and I don't mean to belabor the point. This is interesting, I think, because they use it to train broadcasters, and then they have all, TV broadcast. So it's part of, there's a real network with the communications department. So that's not tied in.
No, not currently, although I think something like that, if we could develop that kind of relationship with the communications department here, is something we'd be interested in pursuing. Because I think you're right, it can be a great proving ground for students.
We have one.
I was going to say, I think also a big thing is that at Wake Forest, we don't even have a journalism major. It's mainly journalism minors, and we don't have necessarily the student interest to build a huge program like that.
But we do have, again, Buck. He's
I know, that's
this is his second time as an intern. He was our radio camp intern 2 summers ago, which is a program for middle school students and high school students. And when he did that, he helped us start a student club. So we have that now. You might have heard of it. It's the WFDD Student Ambassadors, and they're hosting events on campus monthly. So we are working to bring students in and get them more involved.
So that's a good point, and I'm glad Sara mentioned Radio Camp. We have a lot of programs that we do beyond what you hear on the broadcast. Radio Camp for middle school students, which we do 3 to 4 weeks of every summer. We have a Radio 101 program, which is in-house in a couple of high schools. Lopa Shaw is our coordinator for that. So she spends an entire semester with a group of high school students in the high school, working with them on a piece for broadcast, whether that's a news-related piece or a personal essay. If you have not gone to our website and listened to the Radio 101 stories, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to do it. They are so unbelievably powerful to hear. One in particular, if you'll go to our website and search, the student's name is Darius Underwood, and his piece is called The Day I Grew Up. And it is about the day that his mother came home and informed him she had breast cancer, and then told him all of the things he would have to be responsible for if she died. And it is truly amazing to hear. The other one is Crystal's piece, and I can't remember the name of it right now. Just go through and listen. It's a program we wanted to start because we wanted to give a voice to high school kids who really do have these amazing stories to tell and have these powerful life experiences, but may not feel like they have a venue for sharing those. They're amazing, so please take the time and go listen. They're really great.
Yeah.
Before WFDD moved to its current location, where was it on Wake Forest campus?
I remember it was in Renova Hall.
That's right. And somebody in this room was very special. And when it was moving out of Renova Hall, for some reason, the sign on the wall got put in the trash. And somebody in this very room said, I don't think that should be in the trash. It seems like that should be rescued. And then a couple of years ago contacted me and said, I have this sign. Would you like to have it? And that's Mr. Chris Burris back there. And it's hanging on the wall in the lobby. And it's so awesome that he did that. And I love telling that story. And we appreciate it so much.
Wasn't it in Tribble also? Wake Forest Radio with
You-
Junior World was in Tribble at one point.
Okay. You would probably know that better than I would. So,
No,
yeah.
I wouldn't hear, but I know the person who wrote that history, so I
Everyone should get a copy of the history of Wake Forest.
the new volume, yes. But my husband's office, before he moved to Carswell, was an odd shape, and they always said it was an odd shape because they broadcast from that particular room in Tribble, and it was like soundproof. And
Right, so soundproofing rooms are going to be odd shapes because you don't want right angles.
Yeah, there are none. I
Right.
mean, that room was really a very odd shape. So I assume it went from there, then to Renova,
Probably.
and then to the house.
Yep, that could be. So if you come into our studios now, we just did a couple of tours for some YMCA after-school kids, and we have a lot of fun with them. And that's one of the things I get them to, look around the room. What do you see that's unusual about this room? Oh, the ceiling is sloped and the walls are at weird angles, and here's why: because it's right angles and hard surfaces are really, really bad for sound.
I'm interested in how you got Paul Brown to come back, and I think that's a real coup to get somebody with his talent and tone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We asked sweetly.
Well, specifically, Molly was very instrumental in bringing him back.
He calls me the chief instigator. And Tom, our general manager, would tell you that he was not in the door 2 days before I went to him and said, when Paul Brown retires, we need to bring back Across the Blue Ridge. Because it's a show that people still have asked us about. We hear about it a lot, and it was so beloved in this community. So when we got word that Paul was retiring and coming back to the area full time, we approached him and asked him if he would be at all open. And he was, at that time, not sure. It was not in his plans at all. But we worked with him and the Blue Ridge Music Center and Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation last winter on a 4-city concert tour, live across the Blue Ridge. And he said, let's try that and see if there's even an interest. And so we had these amazing shows. The Greensboro one was nearly sold out. We did great shows in Mount Airy and in West Jefferson. And then our Winston-Salem show did sell out to the point that we added a second matinee show, which also sold out. So I think that was a good indicator to him that there was still interest in the show. So since then, we've talked about it and worked on it and talked about it and worked on it. And I think he finally came around. And now he says he's really, really having fun. He's having a lot of fun with it.
What kinds of, I'm an archivist, this is a very archives question, but what kinds of video or audio tape and stuff do you guys have? Like if your archives go back to the start of the station, you know, all that, like what kinds of media and recordings do you have from?
We have a lot of old photos, newspaper clippings. From the 1989 when the tower was down, I've got a ton of newspaper clippings from that and fundraising campaigns to bring it back. Most of the audio that we have is saved digitally now. We did have, we've done a lot of cleaning out. We don't have a whole lot of space. And yeah. So we've done a lot of cleaning out. We had some old DATs that we got rid of. We used to have, I think, 6 old reel-to-reel machines in storage. There may only be 1 left. I mean, and these are massive, you know, this tall, this wide. Those are gone. There may be some tapes, actual reel-to-reel tapes in storage, but we don't have any way to play them now. But most of it's digital. That's what we have. And tons of great audio. We've got a lot more than what you heard today.
How did you digitize it? Did you like send it to a vendor? Or?
I have no idea because I was not responsible for that. So I'm not sure. That's a great question, and I wish I knew the answer. Anybody else? More questions?
I guess the question is, how are and it's great that the HD channels are active. I guess one question is how much of Wake Forest University program, how often is it? Is it on 7 days a week or just 5 days?
Yeah, well, thanks to NextGen, the implementation of NextGen, essentially we have running like an endless stream of music playing constantly. But in terms of student DJs, in terms of student presenters, broadcasters, we have on our website, wakeradio.com, we have different time slots where people have specific theme shows. Like, for example, I run a show of music from the 40s and 50s. I know there's a lot of people who have sports talk shows or interview shows. We have people doing more modern music and stuff. There's a whole wide variety. So being on the HD broadcast is going to be great. But we do have like basically 7 days a week. If you do want to listen to Wake Radio, there's always going to be music playing.
Anybody else? Thanks everybody for coming today, really. And come up and see us and check out the love mugs, and because they're handcrafted, they really are each one totally unique. So come check them out. And thanks again.